Welcome. Thank you for tuning in to the Clark Network. I'm Ryan Clark, and I just wanted to start this video off with introducing a new podcast that I wanted to start called the Sixers Standard. I just wanted to highlight my favorite basketball team, Philadelphia 76ers, and talk more about them. As anybody knows your favorite team, you got more of a passion for them. And I'm still going to talk, hoops with the whole rest of the NBA and everything else. But I definitely want to sometimes highlight, give game recaps and give more depth about, just signings and things like that with the Sixers. So I just wanted to start a separate podcast with them and go from there. And this first episode, I wanted to talk about, of course, last night's game, the Hawks. Fresh off the All-Star break, and they lost again. They lost to the Hawks. The Hawks now are up 3-0 on the Sixers in the season series, and they won last night 117-107. Jalen Johnson, who's now become he's an all-star and now a Sixer killer on top of that. He had 32, 10, and 5. CJ McCollum, Mr. Consistent. He's everywhere he goes. He's balling. He's averaging 18 and he had 23 last night for the Sixers. Maxey had 28, Edgecombe had 20, and Drummond had what I think was a quiet 10 and 14. Just to kick off the recap, uh, for the most part, I thought the game was pretty even. When we look at it on both sides, and I mean, there was really no glaring as far as discrepancies. It really wasn't anything that really like was separate. So the shooting was 10 of 32 for the Hawks, 11 for 33 for the Sixers. Rebounding was just about close. Free throws wasn't much big difference there. I think for me, where the game went kind of separate is in the fast break points. The Hawks had 54 to the Sixers 38, and I know I did say that the fouling didn't seem off, but for the most part, the Sixers did seem like there was a bit of a lot of reaching and going for the ball a lot. And to me, I think the Hawks give the Sixers so many problems because they have a lot of height and depth, which is a big problem for the Sixers because of course a lot of our or not ours, but the Sixers is lacking. So the obvious, of course, Paul George being suspended, a lot of the a lot of the pressure from the forward spot is now on Oubre, Watford, Barlow, and last night Oubre played good. He had 17, but Barlow and Warford they had a rough night. Barlow only had 1 point in 22 minutes. That's definitely not good. Warford only had 4 point in 16 minutes. So you gotta get picked up in that area because the Hawks had 6 guys in double figures, almost had 7, and that can't. That's kind of why I think they beat the Sixers. It was just, and I think that's why pretty much they got through on them. It's just the depth of it, and they have nobody really to match Jalen Johnson. Um, a saving grace you might be able to say is that George and Embiid didn't play. However, they did play the second game where George had 35 and Embiid had 22 and 14. Maxey didn't play, but I mean the Hawks did see them and they still won. So I would be a little worried about that, especially if it comes down to maybe a tiebreaker later in the season, because the Hawks are now 27 and 30, and the Sixers are now 30 and 25. Going into the second half of the year, they have a couple games right now. They're on a away break. They have the Pelicans and Timberwolves coming up. I do think the Pelicans they can get. Timberwolves not so much, especially without Embiid. They definitely won't need him for that one. And Embiid right now is out. Definitely came out a few days ago that he hurt his right knee in right knee rehab. Trying to prevent injury in his right knee, he injured his right shin. So they're taking a preventative maintenance call on that one, and they're going to sit him. He said he's not playing until he's 100%, and that is a good and bad thing if you're a Sixers fan because it's kind of par for the course being having Embiid as your best player, but it's something that you just got to work with. So with Embiid and now George being out, it definitely leaves you hoping that the team can hold up, but all we can do is hope for the best. And uh, part of me thinks they can do it, but I think the minutes are starting to pile up on Maxey, and they kind of ran him out early in the season. Now you kind of asking more of him. And, early in the year he's playing at an MVP level. Now I think he's still at an All-Star level, which is great. But when Embiid is out, there's really not much help, which is the bad part about this because when Maxey has to sit, it's like the offense. There is no offense. There's not much anyone can do because, like you said, Oubre is okay. He kind of can. He's hot and cold. Same with Oubre. He's a rookie. I'm sorry, not Oubre. Sorry, it's Edgecombe. He's a rookie, so you try not to rely on him. But the Sixers are going to need more of a balanced scoring to continue to keep things going forward and possibly hold this up while Embiid and George are kind of sitting on the sideline. It's unfortunate, but it's just what the team got to do. And also in regards to the game, I I noticed the Quentin Grimes situation kind of happened again, where he has a flash of okay, that's who he was beginning of the season, and that's what kind of led to Maxey getting traded. Because Quentin Grimes showed he belonged, and he got his deal, which is great. I'm not mad at the deal at all. But then he gets cold, and he kind of gets disappearing, and he ended up with 5 fouls. So it's like, come on, man. It's like which Grimes are we gonna get? Are we gonna get the great shooter, or are we gonna get what are we gonna get? But also in regards to the Sixers, they had 13 blocks, but it just seems like the defense still needs help, especially like I said on the perimeter. It's like it's kind of I don't want to say turnstileish right now, but it kind of is looking that way. But the Sixers, they have the bodies. It's just I guess you could say that the effort. They have the effort. They need the effort around the rim. Boda, it looks like he's swatting almost anything that gets there. He did have a couple fouls, but that's not too bad. And like I said, the fouling mostly came from the guard position. Edgecombe had 5, Grimes had 5. So it's like it seems like they can't stay in front, and that's why I think it's going to be a weakness with the Sixers. Of course, on top of 2 of the top guys out, and now you're starting to burn out Maxi. It's like all the signs are pointing to this don't look good, but all I can say is that I think the Hawks might have shown something that the Sixers might. I don't know if they'll be able to work on it in time. They definitely picked up campaign, which was good, but I don't know if he's gonna do it. And of course, the Sixers fans were frustrated that nothing got done at the trade deadline, and I think it's definitely gonna show because the team needs a playmaking guard badly. The Hawks had 24 assists to the Sixers 17, so it doesn't really look like they're gonna get much out of that. He is having about 5 or 6 assists, which is great, but like I said, he's your most nights 1, 2 option. So you gotta just pour more on his plate, and I don't know if he's gonna be able to maintain it. It just seems like they're asking a lot out of Maxey this season, which is great. He's taking it on great. I think he definitely improved as a leader, and I do believe that it's his team. It's just that I think the Sixers need a better plan for dealing with Embiid. They get some big bodies, and the production can't keep up. Drummond's not much of a scorer. Bone is not much of a scorer. So you lose a lot of that when Embiid is out. And you still get some rebounding with Drummond. You get a little defense with Bona, but it's not much else coming from that. So with the Sixers, it's tough because they have a big glaring weakness at forward due to George being out and Embiid being out at center. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen. And in this game, it really showed why they need both them guys because the Hawks had multiple bodies and they were swarming the Sixers on defense. It just definitely showed. The Sixers ended up with about 16 turnovers, 14 or 16 turnovers, and it was obvious that the Sixers had issues just getting the ball up and just moving the ball around. It seems like with Nick Nurse's offense, he likes to do a lot of motion. And I don't. What I mean by that is, it's not so much like set plays to get anyone open or a good shot. Just seems like it's just good ball movement, screen, ball movement, cut through. That's what it kind of just seems like when Nick Nurse's offense and his lineups are really starting to be questionable. I don't know why you open up the half with Warford and Barlow and Drummond, but you get no offensive production out of that. And you now put kind of Maxey on an island where everyone's kind of like, like the Hawks defenders all kind of new. Like you don't really have much outside of this right now. And I don't know what Nick Nurse was thinking. Maybe Oubre was tired still. I don't know. But I was just kind of wondering what that was about. So, um, going forward, I do think the next game is the Pelicans. I do think the Sixers should take this game. I hope that they do. We will see what happens next with the team. I'm just gonna enjoy the last second half of this season. We're gonna see where the Sixers go from here. Let me know what you guys think. Sixers fans, basketball fans, please let me know. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Happy.